We're doing great. A big investment's being made in Pennsylvania. You've been reading about it. They're going to spend $17 billion on U.S. steel. And all the steel workers wanted it. And we have a golden stock. We have a golden share, which I control or President controls. Now, I'm a little concerned whoever the president might be, but that gives you total control. It's 51% ownership by Americans. And we have a company, a great company, Nippon. They're coming in from Japan. They're going to spend $17 billion. And somebody said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? I said, they spent $17 billion. We can't put it on a trailer and drive it to Japan. This is a steel mill. You know, some businesses you can move. You move your office, and that's where the business is. With this business, they're spending 17, think of that, $17 billion. They're going to have them all over the country. Saturday, we're coming together to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a grand parade, a military parade that I don't think we've ever seen the likes of what you're going to see. I hope the weather's okay, but actually if it's not, that brings you good luck. And that's okay too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the tanks at all. It doesn't affect the soldiers. The following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence.
In my mind, one of the single most important economic questions of the next few years, will there be a continued decoupling between the world's two largest economies, or is it possible to rebalance together? Senator, President Trump would like the U.S. economy to rebalance toward greater manufacturing, bring down the trade deficit. The Chinese continue to add manufacturing capacity. Currently, they are 30% of global capacity, up substantially since 2020. Under the cover of COVID, they increased capacity. They are in the midst of a substantial real estate downturn. Some would call it a crisis. They have very low consumer spending, and so they need to rebalance to more consumer spending, address their domestic imbalances, but they cannot do that on the workers of the rest of the world. So if they are willing to be good partners and approach a negotiation where the U.S. brings back manufacturing, precision manufacturing, high-paying jobs, and the Chinese are willing to open their economy to American products, then we could do that together. A new version of TDS, which I would call tariff derangement syndrome, and many on your side seem disappointed that there is no inflation to date. As a matter of fact, we saw the best inflation numbers since 2020. So there has been nothing passed on. There has been no tariff recession. So no inflation, no recession due to tariffs.
The bottom line is they don't care about the American people. They don't even care about the people that they're claiming to protest for. So many of them are paid protesters. This thing is being orchestrated, obviously, in many ways. And ultimately, President Trump is the one who took action to keep the American people safe and try to bring peace back to the streets that these rioters are destroying.
As if it were, you would be keeping these women in. Instead, you are the one injecting culture wars into the military, and it's at the detriment of our military readiness and national security. Now, General Kane, I'd like to turn to you.
So to be clear, these are men who think they're women.
These are women. I'm happy to educate you on
But these are men,
on trans
and so
issues at another
what we've
time.
identified is that there's mental health issues with that belief system.
I'd like to turn to General
are
Kane
detrimental
now.
to readiness, and that's the determination that we've made and that we stand behind. Gender dysphoria.
And so you don't.
In May 2020, looting, acts of violence, and arson occurred on your watch in Minneapolis after you refused to bring in the National Guard. Governor, your agenda is clear. Free health care, free college and driver's licenses for illegals while handcuffing law enforcement when they're trying to protect our citizens and their communities. If you think that's not a sanctuary state, you shouldn't be governor. By turning Minnesota into a magnet for illegals, you have opened up our communities to dangerous criminals, including known terrorists, gang members, murderers, and child predators. You have sent a resounding message that if you're a hardworking, law-abiding citizen of Minnesota, your safety and well-being are not the priorities of Tim Walz and his administration. But if you're coming to our state illegally, you're not only welcome with open arms, you're entitled to free stuff on the taxpayer's dime. This is absolutely disgraceful. Governor Walz, your sanctuary state agenda has been defined by your utter failure. You have failed to enforce the rule of law. You have failed to uphold our national sovereignty. And most importantly, you have failed the people of Minnesota. The time for radical sanctuary state policy, sir, is over. The voters made that clear last November when they elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. You remember him, don't you? Governor, the time for real leaders and real leadership is now. And with that, sir, actually, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to introduce into the record the governor's tweet that I referenced from May 23rd, 2018, which makes it clear his hatred for federal law enforcement. Thank you.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr.
Chair recognizes Mr. Mfume.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I have a unanimous consent request, and I'd like to present.
So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs. You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order.
DTLA protest has one person been taken into custody by federal police. Unclear reasoning. LAPD is trying to work it out as well. Person taken into custody was related to items being thrown at federal police, National Guard, including a firework mortar, scanner, Pacific. It's crazy.
Get out of here! Go north! Get back! 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 Get back! Get back! Back! Here!
UTM posted on X. 6:20 a.m. June 12th, 2025. Alert, 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 major alert. The traffic in DC is absolutely insane. There's nothing but military tanks everywhere. Oh, I'd love to see that for real. The Red Rover. Saturday morning ends maritime law for good.
That's a self-propelled gun. That's what that is. DC, baby! Wow. 2025. Oh, this one's missing this gun.
Alert, alert. US bases and fleets in the Middle East are on high alert. The United States has made a decision regarding the Middle East. Forwarded from Ghost Patriot, I am Tina. Say cheese! Department of Homeland Security Predator B drones are orbiting over Los Angeles. If you're an insurgent funding, coordinating, supplying, or engaged in attacks on law enforcement, federal property, or federal officers, you are being monitored from 10,000 to 50,000 feet by a Reaper drone equipped with the Jorgen Stare. It can monitor a 50-mile radius around LA and has a 2mm resolution, allowing for a facial recognition and license plate reading. The administration is determined to find those responsible for the insurgency. No one is above the law. Donald J. Trump on Truth. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-term workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. Posted 06/12/25.
And balancing. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also want to
hands off.
How many of our ice agents have been docked?
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go ahead, put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground. And I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question? If this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable.
His actions didn't match his big fat mouth. Kevin Sorbo on X posted, another woke judge has been arrested for helping illegals. LOL. Judge arrested for hiding illegal. What just happened? Stunned courtroom. You study law to protect who? Crude oil price has increased to $75.71. And this was posted by Doom Posting on Telegram. There it is. Oil prices now above $75 a barrel and above over plus 10% on the day. At this rate, we'll be at $80 before the market opens tomorrow. Israeli News Pulse on X, 5:38 p.m. June 12, 2025. Report: Iran's Chief of Staff Mohammad Bagheri has been eliminated. NGR comments: Alert, hopefully this speeds up the surrender so we can get back to peace. Exactly. Forwarded from the General. Breaking: US military warplanes have departed from Qatar and are now en route to Israel. Also, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to speak with both President Trump and Vladimir Putin today. Just in, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu delivers speech after attacking Iran. Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. From A to Z Dreams channel, Clement prophesied years ago that Israel would bomb Iran's nuclear sites and that Iraq would revalue the dinar after that happens. LFGGG. Majeed posted on X, 12:42 a.m. June 13, 2025. Alert, alert, pay attention. During those days, if you hear any guru telling you that Iraq has announced on TV that they are changing the rate, they are full of shit. Because if Trump wanted to flip the switch to the new financial system with the current Iraqi government still in power, he would have done it already. But now it ain't gonna happen until the current Iraqi government is taken down. Iraq has released the digital dinar to Trump on March 2025. That's why Iraq kept saying, we are releasing the digital dinar. You cannot release something unless you have created it, and with a new rate. But still Trump did not flip the switch, because he wants to take the current Iraqi government out of power, because they are Iranian puppets. Time for us to unite. That is what we are witnessing now. Majeed, exactly 100. Boom. Tom Becker, I hope I read today that we have to wait until November when ISO 20022 will be activated for cross-border pen payments. It's high time. Go, go, go. Majeed, that's bullshit. Bullshit. Okay, Tom? Buildings in Tehran, Iran on fire after Israeli airstrikes. BRICS News. BRICS News. Israel begins striking Iran again and says the operation can last for 2 weeks. President Trump says he warned Iran and there is still time to make the slaughter end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was known as the Iranian Empire. Russia slams Israel for attacking Iran and says it's a violation of the UN Charter. China says it is willing to play a role in the de-escalating the situation between Israel and Iran. Message for US citizens, June 12, 2025. Reports that the US Embassy in Bahrain has changed its posture in any way are false. Our staffing and operations are unchanged, and activities continue as normal. The Embassy reiterates the importance of relying on official and credible sources for information concerning the Embassy. Please visit us at bh.usembassy.gov. Enroll in Smart Traveller Enrollment Program step to receive alerts. Looks like yesterday was just a hiccup. US Embassy in Bahrain says there is no change in posture. Forwarded from A2Z Dreams channel. Shavak News English on X. Permanent mission of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the United Nations. Iran calls for urgent UNSC meeting over Israeli attacks. 3:24 a.m. 6/13/25. This was forwarded from Intel Slava. Oil spikes after Israel struck Iran. Oil prices have already risen by 13% to $78 per barrel following the escalation in the Middle East. And this from A2Z Dreams channel. They've highlighted, you are about to find out what it means for Israel to be saved for last. You post, we are saving Israel for last. Oh my God, it's happening. Billy Long has just been confirmed as the new IRS Commissioner. Elizabeth Warren warns Americans if this isn't stopped, you will pay no taxes to the federal government. Long has a long history of co-sponsoring legislation to abolish the IRS and replace the income tax with a national sales tax. It's happening, friends. The IRS will be abolished. Listen to this crazy lady and how Billy Long responds. It's hilarious.
What'd she say? I can't understand her. What? What's she? How about a day? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Yep, $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Yep, $40, 2 and a half, 5, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. That's $50 down here, 2 and a half.
Officer, will you escort this young lady out, please?
Yep, 2 and a half now, 5, 65, 7 and a half, 70. Up 2 and a half now, 5, 75, 7 and a half, $80 to 5, 85, 90. $100 net, 10, 10 and a quarter, 1 and a quarter, 1 half and about 2, 2 and a quarter. Yep, 2 and a half and about 3, able to bomb 300. Yep, 3 and a quarter. Cut 3 and a quarter now, half, 3 and a half, and about 400. Yeah, but 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. We're selling the cell phone there, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. Hit 4 and a half, 475, 505, 5 and a quarter, 5 and a half. I yield back.
Somehow I think our auctioneer in residence is going to get tweeted about today.
Mary wants to know if the nomination of the Zim bond makes a difference. I am told absolutely not. That, you know, it's the same difference between having a $100 bill or 520s or 1010s or 25s or $101 bills. It doesn't matter. I've been told that over and over and over to the point of ad nauseum by folks that are trained on the redemption process. Hopefully, if anybody else asks that questions, you all can answer it. The question is where we at? There is a last-ditch effort to take the world into chaos and darkness. You're watching the final act of the play out. No, Earl, contrary to many people reporting, you can't go with a digital dinar, RV, and country, etc., and trade any money yet. There are some signs that are very hopeful that we will soon see some values and we some supporting information from those pairings, but it hadn't happened yet. Soudani is very much moving us in the right direction. I know that there is 1 or 2 folks out there that don't like him, that think he's a bit of a problem. They're the same people that tell you that Maliki was fantastic and Bush was a great president. Happy birthday, Trevor. They're wrong, by the way. Soudani has greatly helped. Has he been perfect? No. But compared to any president in a very long time in Iraq, he has been phenomenal towards getting the things that need to be done. No news on the Bolivar. No fresh bond updates since last night. I did start seeing some lovely movement there. that we are seeing some competition for prices from some of the families shows us that we are very near to completion. You want to be competing for those assets unless you believed you could get more for those assets, or you wanted that tremendous store value at a discount. So I take that as a very good thing based on what values are expected to be.
You were born sovereign, then they gave you a name, a number, a flag, and a master to serve. Freedom wasn't lost, it was taken before you could speak. Data Republican posted on X, 6:11 p.m. June 12th, 2025. Alert just released. Follow the money behind the No Kings rally. Alert. Data Republican has launched an interactive open source map showing how your tax dollars flow to organizations involved in the No Kings rally. I tracked funding from federal sources to final recipients, prioritizing direct paths, not via DAFs, whenever possible. Important. Most paths still went through donor-advised funds, DAFs, the black box of the non-profit world. Unfortunately, it's a common and opaque funding structure that deserves scrutiny. Explore it for yourself. Click on Federal Grant Flow or any No Kings organization to open any visual flow chart, tracing dollars from origin to destination. Also, you can save any graph as an SVG and take it wherever you need. I'll keep updating the database as more EINs come in. Got a group to investigate. Send it to my email address with an EIN. Let's shine a light on influence laundering. Link below. High taxpayer funds alert. National Democratic Institute for, and then it's got the EIN number there. Taxpayer funds, look at that. 167,610. Oh no, hold on. 167,610,102. Jesus. Oopsie. See Jesus' name in vain. High taxpayer funds alert. National Endowment for Democracy. There's your taxpayer funds. Look at that. Over 362 million. The Board of Trustees of the Leyland. Taxpayer funds. Over 1.5 billion. This one here, over 150 million approximately. Jeez. Over 74 million. This one close to 126 million. This one close to 49 million. Jeez. Taxpayer fine 150,000. Gonna work my butt off to pay some bastard just so they can have bloody criminals go out and destroy property, attack police and military. And these people are so freaking brainwashed that they can be sold. We'll give you $200 a day if you grab a brick and throw it at the police or throw it at a car or throw it at a building. Just makes you wonder how they were educated by their parents. Because my mother always says, God is watching. And that's really sad for our society. For young and old. Yeah, easy money, $200. I'll take it. And they don't understand the principle of it. Why the ICE agents are there taking these criminals out. They come here so that the bloody Democrats can bloody take over the government. That ain't going to happen. Because Trump's got the support of the full military. God always wins. That's completely evil. Be interesting what happens on the 14th. Being called weird is like being called limited edition, meaning you're something people don't see that often. Remember that.